Good morning. It's good to be together, isn't it, over the summer holidays for an all-age worship together. We don't normally get an all-age worship in August because it's normally the holiday club week, but that was last week because of the way the school terms go. So it's good we get another time together as we worship God, and today thinking about light. I wonder who's managed to remember to bring something that makes light with them. Oh, a few of them. That's brilliant. Well, at some point, I can see some interesting things as well. At some point during the service, I'll come around and we'll take a little bit of a look at some of the different things that produce light. Or if you're comfortable being on the live stream, you might even be able to bring something up to the front for us to take a look at. And on the subject of our live stream, a very big welcome to all of you watching at home, whether you're watching now or whether you're watching in the future. It's good to see you. We do have our family area here at the front. Feel free to make use of that if you'd want a family area. Well, I think we should start our service, as we often start our service, with a chance to meet... Who is it we normally meet at the start of the service? Billy, that's it. Billy, shall we call out for Billy? Shall we call him for, and do a bit of a drum roll maybe? Hey, hello Billy. Accompanied by Jill as well, of course.
Hello Tom, it's good to see you. I almost didn't make it today.
Oh dear, Billy, what happened?
Well, after the busyness of holiday club last week, I decided to go on a camping holiday.
Oh, I love camping. It's intense.
Oh dear Tom.
So tell me, what happened?
Well, I arrived and put up my tent. Then I started to unpack. I remembered nearly everything. I got my camping knife, fork and spoon, my toothbrush, my sleeping bag. I even remembered to pack my pants.
So, what did you forget?
My torch. I forgot my torch. I was on a night walk, and I could see then because of the street lights. But when I got back to the campsite, it was completely dark. I didn't know where I was going. I couldn't find my tent anywhere.
Oh no, Billy, what happened next?
I spent what was like forever feeling my way around, trying not to fall over anything or stumble over someone else's tent and wake them up. Eventually, some other people came, and they did have torches. They saw me wandering in the darkness, and they showed me the way to my tent with their torch.
Oh, well, it sounds like walking around in the dark was not much fun at all. At least the people with the torches managed to get you safely back to your tent for the night, Billy.
Yes, and the next morning, it was straight to the shops to buy my torch.
Well, fair enough. Do you know that Jesus describes himself as being the light of the world? And he says that we can be like lights as well. Not just helping people to see where their tents are, even though that is important, but helping people to see who Jesus is.
That sounds great. Who can I sit with to find out more?
Ooh, I don't know. Who do you think would like to look after Billy today? Anyone over this way? I'll let Jill decide today. Maybe you could share him around a bit. Oh, fantastic. Well, it's been good to meet with Billy today, hasn't it? And our first song for today is one that helps us to think about Jesus as the light of the world. In fact, it's called Light of the World. And our band are going to lead it for us. It's one I think we have done before, but maybe not for a little while. So the top tip, if you can't remember it, sing it with gusto. I'm sure it will come back to you, or you'll learn it as you go along. So do stand if you're able to as we worship God. Thanks, band.
All of our lives and we
So as we come to talk to God this morning, we come to prepare ourselves for worship. And we've got our 3 sign languages that, if we're not sure what to do, we copy Tamsin, because she's the expert. So, can anyone remember, firstly, how do we say praise to God? Anyone remember praise? We've got a few different, well, a lot of us doing this sort of applause. What would you do? You could do this, or you can do the applause. Fantastic. So a bit of a choice there for us. Also, we're going to have a time to say sorry to God. I needed it with my hands, but I didn't. Who can remember how we say sorry? Well done, Alaire, just like that. And we also have a time to say thank you to God. Who can remember how we say thank you to God? Perfect, like that. It looks a bit like blowing a kiss, actually, doesn't it, when you do it like that? Yeah, we say thank you, just like this. Well done. And if you want to say the words as well, I'll say the words on the screen that are in white, and I'll invite you to say the words in yellow all together. In God's presence, we have gathered together as part of his family, and we have come to worship him, to hear what he wants to teach us through the Bible, to pray to him for ourselves and for others, and to ask him to forgive our sin, and to enjoy the friendship of our brothers and sisters in Christ. So, let us shout for joy to the Lord who loves us. Great is the Lord, and most worthy of praise. But now we take some time to turn to God, to ask for his forgiveness, because sometimes we wander away from him. But God searches for us, rescues us, and longs to forgive us. So for the actions that have angered you, for the words which have wounded you, for the thoughts which have betrayed you, the failures which have let you down, we say sorry. Father, in your mercy, forgive us and help us. And we thank you, loving God, that because you sent Jesus into the world, who died on a cross, we are all forgiven by his blood. And because of his coming to life again, we all have a new life in you. Amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love goes on forever. Sing a new song to the Lord. He has done wonderful things. Fantastic. And let's give our big thank you with our signs. Fantastic. Fantastic. Wow. I wonder who has brought a light with them. Has anyone got a light that we can show off? Fantastic. If anyone's got one they think is amazingly impressive that people will really want to see on the live stream, bring it up to the front. Helen, do you want to show that? Come on up and show that. It's looking a little bit festive. Is it? No, it's not a festive one. It looks like a Christmas tree from here. Fantastic. But I would also come around, so if you've got one that either you don't think is too impressive to come to the front, or you don't want to be on the live stream, then I will come to you as well. So what have you got here, Helen?
It's like a lava lamp with glitter, really.
Nice, I like it.
It's bright when it's nice and dark. It's not quite good in this light.
And what I like with that, I'm guessing there's probably just one little light at the bottom, but you've got all the bits of glitter reflecting all the light that's going on from the bottom, and make it all look fab. Oh, thank you very much, Helen. Has anyone else got anything? Yes, B, I know you're dying to show us this. What have you got?
A light up ball, and when I hit it, it lights up.
Fantastic. If you hold it up nice and high, then we can all see. Fantastic. That. Oh, you need to hit it again to make it light up. There we go. You can see it lights up. And again, there's just one little light, but it's making all the balls in there light up. Thank you very much, B. I'm going to come around now and see what else we've got. Oh, Richard, bring that one up, because that looks impressive. I'll come to you in a moment. But for now, I'll just go to a few people. Who's got a torch on their phone? If you've all got a torch on your phone, wave that all together. Fantastic. It looks like a concert as well. Oh, wow, we've got, what's this? It looks like a selfie stick and a light.
It's a bendy light.
Oh, fab. Is that designed for reaching in awkward places, or?
Yes, DIY.
That's impressive. I've just suddenly added something to the list of things I want for DIY, but I never knew existed until a moment ago. Fab. A nice bright torch there that Kath's got. I'm not sure if I can see anymore, I just looked straight at it. Oh, brilliant. And a head torch. A head torch with a red light as well, so I guess that helps people, like if you're a cyclist, people to see you from behind. And for odd jobs as well. I'm going to come down this aisle next. Has anyone got anything another torch in your phone? Fantastic. And of course, if anyone's ever broken their screens on their phones, you realise how important the lights are. What have you got here, Claire?
Little lights.
Little lights. They look like mini lightsabers, like Star Wars in full version. Oh, we've got some Christmas tree decorations here, reminding us of the joy we have at Christmas. And if anyone's looking, there's a little green spot here. You can probably carefully shine it to the front, but not in anyone's eyes. Then you can see it on the live stream as well. I don't know if we can see that. But a laser pointer here. Oh, and a safety light stick. I won't break it because I know they cost a lot of money, but when you snap them, they produce light with a chemical reaction. And a magnifying glass here with lights added onto it. Another torch. Is this a wind-up one? A cycle torch here. Fantastic. I'll come to you. If you go to the front, I'll come to you in just a moment. Oh, brilliant. We've got a little pop-up camping light. Billy should have had one of those, shouldn't he? Fantastic. And a tea light here, but one that works with batteries, so you get the joy of the light, but without the worry of setting fire to anything. Oh, nice. And this is a big one as well. A nice big torch for big problems. Oh, fantastic. Nice. What have you got there? So bring that one up to the front, Sam. Oh, you can't because it's plugged in. Fair enough. What have you got there?
It's a star projector thing.
Nice.
Which plays music.
So in theory, that's probably projecting lots of... Yeah, I can see on your face it's making lots of blue lights on your face. It doesn't quite reach to the ceiling. Ah, fantastic. And Reno's got... Yep.
This has got a backlight on it, like a TV, because if it didn't have a backlight on it, it wouldn't work. You wouldn't see anything.
And then we wouldn't have any sound. So in this case, we've got lights that help to control our sound as well. Oops, sorry, making a big squeak there. And Richard, I'm impressed by yours. What have you got?
Well, we use this for camping.
Nice.
So we're going to give it to Billy.
Oh, brilliant. Billy's got 2 options now of camping lights. Thank you, Richard. Oh, look, very technical. And Alea, what have you got?
I've got a candle.
Fantastic. You've got a candle here. And when we light this, very wisely not lit at the moment, because otherwise you'd be walking around the church with a candle in it. It'd be all very, very difficult. When you light this, it gives off light, doesn't it? So you could use that for seeing where you're going, or you could use it for something as a decoration, or even you could use it as a reminder of Jesus being the light of the world. Well, we have got some pretty amazing ideas there. We're going to have our Bible reading now. We're going to hear what Jesus said when he was talking to people about letting themselves shine as lights of Jesus. I just thought if I've got the microphone here and you're standing there, that wouldn't work. Thanks, Sandra.
No one takes a light and puts it under a bowl or hides it. Instead, he puts the light on a lampstand so that people who come in can see. Your eye is a light for the body. If your eyes are good, then your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are evil, then your whole body will be full of darkness. So be careful. Don't let the light in you become darkness. If your whole body is full of light and none of it is dark, then you will shine bright as when a lamp shines on you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sandra. So those were Jesus' words, but they were written down by Luke, who remembered what Jesus had said, and he wrote it down so everybody could find out in the future, in fact, including us today, what Jesus said there. So it's in one of the Gospels, and gospel is basically just a fancy word that means good news, because the Gospels tell us the good news of Jesus. And it's part of a section of the Bible which has lots of different teachings, all about all sorts of things, really. We're taught about prayer, which I think we found out about a few weeks ago. We're taught about the importance of belief in God and how much that can transform our lives. Well, some of you may know that when we have an all-age service at St. James, we also have an all-age service a little bit earlier over in Keevil. And my trip to Keevil today was much less eventful than my previous trip to Keevil, because the last time I went to Keevil, it was for the Year 6 Leavers service from the local school. And as I was driving to Keeville, I saw some lights that I don't think we've mentioned yet, actually. I saw some blue lights. What do you think the blue lights might have meant? It was on a vehicle. What do you think it might have been? Yeah, could have been. Yep, it was the fire brigade. So I was stuck, ironically, because fire engines can go really fast. I was actually stuck behind the fire engine. Because all the roads to Keeville are really narrow and the fire engine's really big, I was able to keep up with the fire engine because it wasn't going very fast. So I got stuck behind this fire engine with its blues and twos going. And I was driving towards Keeville. The fire engine was driving to Keeville. Then I was thinking, this is really going in very much the same direction as I'm going. This is getting a bit uncomfortably close to the school. And then it stopped just before I stopped to turn right into the road to the church and the school. And I thought, okay, well, this isn't going to be good. I mean, if the school or the church is on fire, that's going to be a real anticlimax at the end of the school year for the school's leavers service in the church. And if one of the houses is on fire, it's not going to be a very happy event if there's a family really sad that their house is burning. So I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. What had actually happened, unknown to me, there was also a little power substation, and that had kind of gone bang and caught fire. So fortunately, it was nothing of sentimental value, nothing that couldn't be mended, and it was a bit of an adventure for the children on that day. Of course, because substations make the power work, what it did mean was we didn't have any power. And we only had a few candles, so we had to work out where the candles could go so that we could see what we were doing. And in the end, we had a really nice candle-lit service. Well, in verse 33 of our reading today, we heard that no one takes a light and puts it under a bowl or hides it. Instead, he puts the light on a lampstand so that people who come in can see it. That situation in Keeville felt quite unfamiliar to us. We're not used to not just being able to press a button to turn on the lights. But it would be a very, very normal situation to the people who Jesus was talking to, long before the electric lights were made, long before we had electricity. And in those days, long before they had big windows like we have now. A lot of the houses would have had very small windows that just let in a little bit of light. So even in the daytime, sometimes they would have needed to have lit a little lamp, maybe a little clay light, which would have been filled with olive oil. Olive oil is really expensive now. It was pretty expensive back then as well. And so the olive oil, because it was expensive, meant you only really had one lamp. And you would, of course, put it right in the middle of your house on a lampstand. It'd be silly to put it under a bowl or somewhere out of the way. You wanted it to shine so everyone in the house could see with the light. In our Bible reading and throughout the Bible, we see light described in a few different ways. Firstly, it's described in a literal way, with a light that comes from the sun, or lights that we see from our lights shining out. The light helps us to see what we're doing our day-to-day jobs. And then you get two metaphors, or two descriptions of light, ways of describing who Jesus is, or describing who we can be. Jesus himself describes himself as being like the light of the world. So in the same way as a light shows us how to go, Jesus can show us how to go. Oh, thank you very much, Joshua. And we too are invited to walk in the light that God gives, living a good life, walking in the light. We sang about that a few all-age services ago. God's Spirit lives to set us free. We can walk in the light. Jesus says, your eye is like a light for the body. So in the same way as the little eyes of the houses were the lights for the houses back then, our eyes are little lights for our bodies. If our eyes are good, then our whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are evil, your whole body will be full of darkness. Oh, I don't know if anyone's ever had to have a change of glasses. I expect lots of us have. I had a change of prescription this week, and my left eye suddenly went all out of focus. I saw Richard on the day, and I don't know about you thought about the work I was doing, but if any of it was skew-if, that's because my glasses were playing havoc with everything adjusting and over-adjusting, and my eye compensating and overcompensating until it all came back to normal. But here, Jesus isn't just talking about our sight, he's talking about the things we see and how it affects us on the inside. I wonder if any of us, I know one of us will, any of us have heard of Bandura and Bandura's social learning theory. A few of us, anyone who works in a school is likely to have come across that. You have, yeah? And Jeremiah's got his hand up as well, which is very, very clever for someone so small. So Bandura was a psychologist. He only actually died last year at the grand old age of 95, grand old age of 95 is when he died. And Bandura was a psychologist, and he did a famous experiment which lots of people have learned lots of things from. And he got a big doll, it was called a Bobo doll, a big inflatable doll, and he got a video of an adult walking into the room, seeing this doll, and basically punching this doll to the ground, and being pretty violent and pretty rough. I almost got a video of that happening, but then I thought, based on what happened in the experiment, maybe that wouldn't be such a good idea for little eyes to see it. Bandura showed this video to children, and then invited the children into a room. And in the room, there was a Bobo doll, exactly the same one as they'd just seen on the video, and also a few other things around the room. Some things they could use to be kind to the Bobo doll, some things they could use to be quite violent towards the Bobo doll. I wonder what you think happened. Do you think the children did what the psychologist expected to happen, which was that they'd be really kind to the Bobo doll and treat it with kindness after it had been pushed around? Or do you think they copied what the adult had been doing and pushed the Bobo doll around a bit more? What do you think? Most of us are thinking, yeah, their children's behaviour was quite violent compared to the test group. Absolutely was. The children went in, and then you can see this. If you're on YouTube, type in Bandura, well, you see why I decided not to play it, because I thought we don't want to teach bad habits from an early age, but they were just pushing this thing to the ground, and some of them getting the tools that had been left around the room and treating it even more violently than the adults had. It's an idea of how the things that we see can affect the way that we then act. In children, it can be very simple. As we become a little bit older, for older children and adults, I guess there's more of a sense of self-control, where some things we can see, we can say, no, I'm not going to copy that. But nevertheless, the things we see certainly can reflect in what we do, whether we mean it or not. And we can apply that teaching to so many things, to the movies or the TV that we choose to watch, to the books that we choose to read, the content we choose to look at on social media, not just pictures, but the words we see, the values, the opinions that are put forwards, the websites that we view. Maybe we could even extend that to the approach we take when we look at things. Of course, one person can look at something and take something completely different from what another person sees when they look at that same event happening. A few years ago now, I was the premises manager of some churches in Stoke Newington in London. And one particular church that I looked after, it was a nice big building, which also had some commercial space in it, which was let out to a private children's nursery. And I was the premises manager for the building. And between you and me, and anyone watching online, they were not the easiest of tenants to work with, and that's putting it mildly. I quite often got phone calls from them demanding the impossible. One particular day, I had a phone call and they said, Tom, we're looking at the CCTV, we can look over at the churchyard, and you need to deal with a problem. There are some people, and they are sharing an illegal substance. And there's a whole gang of them. And the churchyard is part of the premises, you're the premises manager, so you need to go and deal with it. I thought, firstly, I'm not sure it's a good idea me going against a whole big drugs gang, but let's come on to that in a minute. I'd also got CCTV. Mine was a little bit better than theirs as well. And so I looked at the CCTV also to see what was going on. What was happening with this massive deal of illegal substances that they were apparently sharing with each other. I could zoom in a bit more than the children's nursery could. And I could see that they were indeed sharing something from a tin. They were dishing it out between themselves, and they were eating it as well. I could zoom in a bit further to see that definitely what they were sharing was a fish dinner. A dinner made of fish. I rewound the footage, and sure enough, someone from the local shop had seen that there were some people who looked like they maybe didn't have a lot of money. They weren't very smartly dressed. You knew from these people sometimes they sat out asking for money. This person obviously felt sorry for them, got them a nice meal, and decided to share it with them. So gave it to them, and sure enough, They were sharing a nice meal together. But of course, the nursery who saw this in the first place, they'd made an immediate judgment. They thought, these people aren't dressed very nicely. These people have sometimes caused us a bit of bother. They must be doing something illegal, and it must be stopped. I wonder if they'd have had the same perception had it been a group of older people. I wonder if they'd have had the same perception if it was a group of business people, all smartly dressed and sitting there sharing some food. And actually, anecdotally, it was the smartly dressed business people who used to be doing more of what the nursery thought they were doing. That was my little observation as well. But that whole situation was a really good reminder for me about the importance of taking a step back, not being too quick to judge, trying to look at people not how we might see them based on our own assumptions, but looking at them how God sees them. David summarises it really well for us in Psalm 139. He says, "You made my whole being. You formed me in my mother's womb. I praise you because you made me in an amazing and wonderful way." Some would say, some Bible translations say a fearful and a wonderful way. What you have done is wonderful, and I know this very well. So we can use our eyes to look at people how God would look at those people as well. Jesus gives us a warning in verse 35. Be careful. Don't let the light in you become darkness. Once we've chosen to follow Jesus and have been filled with light, we need to stay in the light too. I mean, for example, if we were to fill our bodies with junk food and not eat any fruit, our bodies would find that they're not working as well. If we fill our cars with the wrong fuel, they won't work as well. I wonder if anyone's ever had the misfortune of putting petrol into their diesel car or diesel into their petrol car. I can see a few people nodding and saying, oh, that was bad. I was at the petrol station yesterday, and as a man finished filling up, he shouted something, a word, and I thought, oh no, has he done that? Just thinking about what I was talking about today, and it turned out it was just the price of the fuel that caused him to say the word that he said. But I'm sure for anyone who's put in the wrong fuel, that must be really frustrating. And unless if you've got a really old diesel car, and I think you can get away with it, it probably meant the car didn't work very well. Well, if we fill our bodies with the wrong things because of what we're looking at, because of what we're seeing, or because of how we're applying our minds to the things that we're seeing, then our bodies can become dark on the inside. And if we're not working on the inside, what we produce is darkness. But Jesus offers us a promise as well. In verse 36, he says, if your whole body is full of light, and none of it is dark, then you will shine bright, like when a lamp shines on you. We live in a world where many people don't know who Jesus is. I don't think the census data has quite come out from our last census, but it's widely expected that the number of people ticking the box to say Christian will, for the first time ever, fall below 49%. And of course, because that figure's always included people who maybe tick it because they're not sure what else to tick, maybe that should have been the case a bit sooner, really. But because not everyone in the country or people we know knows who Jesus is, they don't even know about him either. We're called to be a light to people who don't yet know Jesus' love. Not just by telling them about Jesus, but by living out our faith in Jesus and letting our light shine so that other people can see the goodness of Jesus reflected in us. And so my prayer and my hope for us today is that all of us can listen to Jesus, can let his light shine into our lives by the things we see, and that we can let our light shine to all the people around us. We're going to have another song now, and I've lost my order of service, so I can't remember which one it is. It is Behold Our God. There was a nice slick transition there. Behold Our God, which I hope really summarises a bit about what we've been thinking about today, and how important it is that we focus first and foremost upon who God is and upon the love of Jesus. So I'll invite you to stand if you're able.
Careful, be careful with the baby.
Thank you.
take a seat. We're now going to have a time to talk to God by praying to him. Led by Hazel.
Dear Lord Jesus, we've been thinking this morning about light and its importance, and we remember that you said, I am the light of the world. You call each one of us to shine for you in this world of darkness, so that people may be pointed to you, the great light. Be with us all this week and always as we try, with your help, to shine as lights in the world, in our homes, in our schools, in our places of work. Keep us shining, Lord. Keep us shining, Lord, in all we say and do, that the world will see Christ lives in me and learn to love him too. Amen. And now we're going to say together the prayer that Jesus taught us. The words, I think, will be on the screen. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
And now we're going to have our church family news. Thanks, Barbara.
Well, thank you, Tom, for yet another very inspiring and really encouraging all-age worship service. So thank you for going to Keble first and for leading our worship this morning. I also would like to thank the band, who has ever 2 weeks running, so it's been wonderful.
It's 2 weeks I'm left on the list.
No, so thank you once again for leading our worship in song. That's been great, and it was lovely when we came in, and when I arrived, Behold Our God was being sung just as a practice run through. It was very welcoming and very encouraging. Also want to thank everybody who helped with the barbecue last Sunday, and if you weren't able to be there, you missed a really enjoyable barbecue. The food was delicious. Julian and Darren and Helen, Darren's wife, were very busy in the kitchen, and it was... Sorry? And Joe, yes. They were very busy in the kitchen, and it was absolutely delicious. So next year for the barbecue, do come along. It's a really enjoyable hour. Then after that, we had quite an active time, just clearing the rest of the hall, ready for the work to start, for the new floor to be relaid, but we did get it all done. Everything's stored away either on the stage or in other parts of the hall. So thank you to everybody who took part in that very necessary job after the barbecue. It's week 2 of our monthly newsletter. We will have a new newsletter at the end of August, so please hold on to your current newsletters because they are all in date. This week is a very important Mothers' Union Week. We have a very special service, extra special service, here in church at 3:30 on Wednesday, which is August the 10th, when Bishop Hassan and Bishop Ariel from Sudan will be with us and speaking to us, and I really would encourage anybody who is able to come along. It will be a very interesting, very encouraging time for each and every one of us, just to hear a little bit about our brothers and sisters who live in a very different environment from us in Sudan, and particularly the Kadugli Diocese. I'm now going to ask Wendy to say a little bit more about Mothers Union activities this week.
Thank you, Barbara. I think this week just shows what Mothers Union's about, because we are working, all of you please, you're very welcome to come on Wednesday when we think about what the work of the Christian Church in Africa. But on Saturday we have our annual fundraising for something much more local. The Diocese Mothers Union owns a holiday home in Rockley Park in Dorset, and allows disadvantaged families to have a cut price holiday there. And what we want to do is we want to raise some funds to pay for a welcome pack. Each family who arrives, it's self-catering, is provided with some things to see them through their first few days there, and things like washing up liquid and toilet rolls, all those sort of things that have to be put into a holiday home. So we want to raise some funds for local work. So we're going to have a cake and mystery book stall outside church on Saturday morning. So if you're in town Saturday morning, come past church, buy a nice cake, or donate one as well if you like, and a mystery book sale. We've got a lot of books that have been wrapped up. You pay £1 and who knows what you might find, something you never thought you might read. So we look forward to seeing you. There'll be some other activities Saturday morning as well. Something for the kids, there's a lucky dip, 50p, so come along, see what we're up to and help us raise funds locally.
Saturday the 10th of September is the annual Heritage Open Day and the Ride and Stride Day, and we'd like to keep St James's open from 10 until 12. At the moment we've got stewards for 10 till 12 and 2 to 4, but we do need at least 2 people, please, from 12 until 2. The sign-up sheet is on the table, just behind where Anne and John are sitting. And if you're able to help cover that slot or join the other teams for the other slots, that would be wonderful. Thank you. On Saturday the 3rd of September, here in church, at 2:30 to 3:30, we will have another prayer hour. We prayed very much before we wrote the profile when our vacancy started a year ago today, and that was a year ago today was Robin Marilyn's last Sunday with us, and soon after that we had a prayer hour to focus our minds on our profile, and then a prayer hour before the advertisement for the post went out, and a prayer hour before the shortlisting, and a prayer hour before the interviews. And we felt it would be really appropriate to have another hour of prayer here in church before Jake is licensed, just to help him and his family to get settled, to finding their feet, and for the right vision for Jake, for our church and our community. And so that's at 2:30 till 3:30, September the 3rd, and I'll do it in 2 half-hour slots. So if you can just come for 1 half-hour or the other half-hour, that's absolutely fine. Now, those of you that park in the church hall car park will have noticed that there are some barriers around at least 2 of the car parking places, and that is because some lead has slipped and some tiles are slipping off the roof of the former United Church. Those car parking spaces have been blocked off for a couple of weeks now, but I heard yesterday that tomorrow and Tuesday the company that now are converting the United Reformed Church buildings, they are arranging for a cherry picker and various pieces of equipment to come and to repair their roof. So I would suggest that none of us park in the church hall car park, particularly at the beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday if the cherry picker's still there, because it'll take quite a bit of room to manoeuvre around. We've got to get to the right places, and I think we do all want to keep our cars safe. So, and I don't know how many vehicles will be there, so it might just be advisable not to use our behind the hall on at the beginning of this week. Next Sunday is our 10:45 service of Holy Communion here in church. And so today, after our service, we will be having coffee in the coffee corner, and we're all welcome to stay. Is there anything I've missed? I think Tom does that, does he? It's all right. It's all right. It's August. I'll leave Tom to introduce that bit. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Barbara. Have we got any August birthdays? Give us a bit of a wave. Must be more. A few over here. And over here. Fantastic. None on this side at all, as everyone's telling me the truth. And one, sorry, over... Sorry, you're behind the pillar. On the back on this side. Sorry, give me a wave again if it's your birthday. Oh, brilliant. Oh, happy birthday. I knew it about the middle, sorry, I was meant right on the end. That's fine. And of course, if you've got a birthday in August and you're watching online as well, a really big happy birthday to you. And we've got our birthday prayer stroke song, which we're going to sing for you right now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to you. From all friends and you. From good friends and true. May God's love go with you. Happy birthday to you. So really big happy birthday if you've got a birthday this month. We've got our final song now, so I'll invite you to stand if you're able as we worship God and know that it's through Christ, not through us, but through Christ working in our lives.
Righteousness and freedom.
Just before we finish our service with our blessing, just a reminder that we do have tea, coffee, squash, and I've seen loads of biscuits today. It was looking fab earlier. So do stay for a biscuit and a chat and a drink as well. Most importantly, over the chat, it's good to have fellowship with one another, our brothers and sisters in Christ. The Lord is our light and our salvation. Our God will make our darkness bright. May the light and peace of Jesus Christ be with us and all those we meet, now and forevermore. Amen. Amen.